Hi Charlie, welcome to the 66th day of my video polling experiment where I break down and analyze the LinkedIn poll that I posted last week and that closed this morning. Now last week's topic was one that was a bit more popular than I anticipated, and that topic was, do you think you will live to be 100 years old? There were three answer choices, yes, no, and I'm not sure. Now, to be honest, I expected the overwhelming majority of people to confidently say that yes, they believe they will live to be 100 years old. While it's statistically unlikely that most of us will reach that level of longevity, there's always the assumption that people are confident in their ability to outperform the average. But, much to my surprise, of the 104 voters, only 14% of them said that they thought they would live to be 100 years old. 61% of them said they didn't think they would live to be 100 years old, and 25% of them were honest enough to say that they weren't sure. Now onto some statistics about life expectancy over time and in the world. In 1800, no world region had a life expectancy of over 40 years. In 2023, that is 223 years later, the global life expectancy was 73.2 years. I would say that's a pretty dramatic improvement in not very much time, at least in terms of the human historical experience. Life expectancy at birth in the United States is 77.5 years. For men in the United States, the life expectancy is 74.8 years, and for women in the United States, it's 80.2 years. Now, I'd like to list out the 5 oldest living people on Earth. These are the 5 oldest people whose ages have actually been verified, I assume, by birth certificates and photos. The oldest person in the world is Ina Canabaro Lucas, who is 116 years old, and she is from Brazil. Second oldest is Ethel Callahan, who is 115 years old and lives in the United Kingdom. Third oldest is Okagi Hayashi, who is also 115 years old and lives in Japan. In fourth place is Marie-Rose Tessier, who is 114 years old and who lives in France. The fifth oldest is Minei Kondo, who is 114 years old and lives in Japan. So it just goes to show you that although it's pretty unlikely that you will live to be 100 years old, it is not impossible. And if you have a healthy lifestyle, if you avoid smoking and drinking, if you eat healthy for all 10 decades of your life, and if you are just fortunate enough to not encounter extremely serious health problems, you too can live to be 100 years old. Of course, I'm referring to humans. Unfortunately, there is no cat who has been verified to live to be over 100 years old. I think the oldest cat is lived to be 30 or 40 years old. So, but it's possible with all of the advances in science and technology. It could be possible to extend the lifespan of a cat to 100 years. But anyway, Charlie, thank you for listening to my little spiel about becoming I don't know what the word is, centurion, something like that, a person who lives to be 100 years old or more. And before I go, I would like to show you the poll as it appears on LinkedIn, just to prove that I'm not making these statistics up. People are not necessarily confident in their ability to live to be 100, as we will soon see. Here is the poll as it appears on LinkedIn. As you can see, it got 104 votes, which is, I consider, to be great performance, over 100 votes compared to my average of about 80 to 85 votes per poll. So I'm glad that people were interested in this topic. And as you can see, only 14% of my voters believe they will live to be 100 years old, while the majority of them, 61%, believe that they will not live to be 100 years old. But they might believe that they'll live into their late 90s, which is pretty close and also quite impressive considering that life expectancy is still in the 74 to 80 year range. So that's still exceeding the expected average by a significant margin, which is fantastic. Anyway, Charlie, thank you again for listening to my little spiel about life expectancy. I hope you learned something interesting and you were motivated to try to break a record for the oldest living cat. So anyway, thank you for listening. Stay tuned tomorrow for my 67th poll and have a wonderful day.